Friday, August 23rd, 2024. Just coming back from the gym. Let's see if I can get in a good place for the sun. Always trying to find the right position. So, I don't know, I think it's been about 2 or 3 weeks since the last recording. What's happened since then? Everything is progressing good with the baby. She's like getting into this pre-walking mode between 7 and 8 months, hanging on to stuff and, like a little monkey, just holding herself up and jumping from one standing thing to another. And sometimes she's successful and sometimes she falls over, but that's part of the process. I expect she'll be mobile on 2 feet before her first birthday. So that's good. She's ahead or ahead of her milestones, which is really good. I'm just going to go and do a lap around the track again like before, and then head home. But what is going on? A lot has happened with the election back in the US and the war here. So let's start with the war here. So Ukraine is in Kursk, and it looks like since last time, it looks like Zelensky wants to hold it and use it as a bargaining chip, for the, I think he wants to get what the news is saying. Just want to check and make sure the light's on here. Yeah. What the news is saying is that they want to get the nuclear power plant and then exchange that for the one in Zaporozhye. That's like what some of the commentators have been saying in the news, but anyone's guess is as good as it's just let me just get this thing fixed in a better way. Let's see. But this is all unedited, unscripted. I think about it, what I'm going to say before I, during the gym, some talking points, but then when I start talking, it all kind of changes sometimes. But my friend Sergey is there. We sent him some night vision. I don't know how much better that makes things. I hope, he says it helps, but I think any little edge you have over there, anything that can bring him home alive would be good. So, and then we just sent him another box of food and safety glasses. Believe it or not, like safety glasses is a big thing. They're walking in the woods and the trees and all these branches, in the night can poke your eye, So, I found a pair in my toolbox, up in the storage unit, and just sent those off to him because, I have to go down to the epicenter, get it, and come back. And just take an extra, by the time I get it in the mail, it'll just be an extra day late. So if it doesn't work, we'll just order him something that does. So we just want him to come back, hopefully. I'm hoping this is like some shorter term project, because I think, everyone is like, it's like with the Russians, right? They're like slow to response. They don't respond surgically. It's just like, when the Germans were heading for Moscow in World War II, it was really easy. And they were almost in Moscow. Then the Russian winter kicked in, and then everything turned on its head. The Russians came in from behind, cut off the supply lines, so not everyone, I would say, there's a lot of memes and a lot of social media celebrating how easy of a time Ukraine is having in Russia. But this is far from over. And, I can tell you the soldiers who are there, they're scared out of their minds because it's just too quiet. It's just too quiet, and everyone knows how the Russians reply and respond. Like I say, non-surgically, target civilians, target children. They just don't care. We were convinced that peace comes through disarmament. I see a lot of these annoying posts, like one was like a group of people throwing a box of guns over a cliff and everything, and saying that would bring peace. It's like when you took the guns away, that's when the peace was lost. You need the world is not the world is not rainbow and unicorns. There's a lot of bad people, you know, these orcs and everything, and as soon as you let your guard down, they come, you know. So yeah, unfortunately, like weapons and guns and all this stuff is like very, very necessary to keep the peace. And you know, the education system has to teach people how to use these things, you know, and be safe, and they're not toys. I'm not for war toys or gun toys and all this, because they're not toys. You know, they're tools for war, and they have to be treated with a lot of respect. And when you give like toy guns and all this stuff, people lose the sense of reality of what they are. I am for banning toy guns, but I'm definitely not for banning guns. You know, I mean, there has to be a lot of gun safety put into the curriculum in the schools. And, you know, it should be something like driver's ed, you know, and people have to understand why we have them. You know, there's the Chinese, there's the Russians, there's terrorist organizations, there's drug cartels. You can't like make deals with these people unless you give up everything to them. You give up all your freedom, all your sovereignty, and you give it all away. Then you can make a deal with them for peace. But no, it's you know, in the world, I think we're going back into the Cold War. And yeah, the culture has to change. We have to go from all this PC and woke stuff and, you know, DEI and all of this. I mean, I don't think there should be discrimination and all that, but there really isn't anymore. And, you know, that we all have to band together against common enemies, which they're pretty well highlighted. You know, Iran, Russia, North Korea, you know, the cartels in South America, terrorist organizations in the Middle East. You know, it's pretty well spelled out for us, you know. And then you have just a lot of individual bad actors, you know, who, I don't know, didn't get enough magnesium when they were growing up or something, you know, people who just have some loose screws, you know. So yeah, that's the changes we need in the society. And I guess that dovetails into the election, you know, what's going on. So the Democratic National Convention just finished yesterday, and we got to see Kamala Harris speak. But we haven't seen her speak unscripted. We haven't seen her give a press conference. I mean, here's where I'm torn. You know, I agree. We need to rebuild the middle class. We need to tax billionaires. They have taken a lot. You know, before Reagan came in and we had the good old days, the top marginal tax rate was between 71 and 91%. And those taxes, you know, were used to do public works projects that gave us this like industrial or blue collar middle class. You know, pipe fitters, concrete workers who could make who could support a whole family on one income, you know, 2 cars. That's where it came from. And then they did all these tax breaks and trickle down economics. So, I mean, the Democrats are very right on that, you know. But the problem is they package everything wrong. They've decided to take this woke thing and, you know, and ram it down our throats. And, you know, the one thing I really like about the Republicans is like, you know, even though they don't really believe in family values. I mean, if you want to survive in their society, you need to have 2 jobs, and, you know, it's too expensive to have kids and all this in their world. But J.D. Vance got one thing right, and it really it made me laugh and it made me think. And, you know, and he's right, unfortunately, but this whole thing is like a bunch of childless cat ladies are trying to tell us how to live, tell us family people how to live. You know, and put all this weird stuff down our throats and get into our school curriculums. You know, it used to be school curriculums were decided by the communities or by the state. You know, like I said, tolerance and acceptance are 2 different things. You know, we have to tolerate a lot of things, but it doesn't mean that if we don't like it, you know, or agree with it, that all of a sudden we're Nazis or something. But, you know, you got Lady Gaga, Taylor Swift, Kamala Harris. None of these women ever had children. They just did everything for their career. And I don't count being a stepmother as being a mother. You know, after my wife gave birth and I was there and all the stuff we go through with a newborn, and an infant, believe me, she wasn't there for that. You know, she probably stepped in a couple years after those kids were born, when all the hard work was done by another woman. You know, so I mean, no, she's not even. You know, it's really troubling for me, because actually the Democrats have the right ideas, but they just put the wrong person in front. You know, she's not even qualified to be a woman. You know, I mean, Hillary Clinton, Jill Stein, Michelle Obama, you know, who is this other one? Pocahontas, Liz Warren. I like her a lot, actually. They all had children. They all went through this. They all had this experience of having to take time out of life to raise an infant. You know, so they really understand at the core what humanity is. You know, but you know, these kind of like power women, you know, who foregone a family and everything. This is just it's not for me. I mean, a lot of people are going to probably, you know, hate me and stuff, but this is just my opinion. This is my opinion as a undecided voter, and I mean, I'm really torn, because I don't like the way she speaks. You know, and I have to admit, like J.D. Vance, he speaks clearly, concisely. He's to the point. You know, Trump, you know, he definitely speaks better than Harris, and lately he's been speaking good. And I guess his approach for jobs is, in the middle class, is to like drill a lot of oil and reshore the factories, and that the marketplace will create the middle class, that there'll be such a labor shortage they'll have to raise their salaries and bring the people in. But still, we need like you know, first payer health care, so you're not tied to a job just to get health insurance, so you're not tied to a crappy company or crappy corporate culture just because you need health insurance. It would actually be better for innovation if people could move around between jobs easier and stay between jobs and not have to worry about their medical bills. You know, and I've always said, like, if we're going to have first payer health care, then there has to be first payer health. You know, all the food that makes you sick has to be taxed, like all these ultra processed foods and fast foods. All this stuff has to be taxed to pay for the system, you know, and encourage people to eat right. So you can get rid of all the preventative visits. You know, like 9 out of 10 doctor visits can be prevented through good exercise and good eating. And then the system can focus on the people with chronic conditions. You know, that's that I haven't heard any of that from the Democrats or the Republicans. You only hear about that like in Norway or someplace. You know, so yeah, it's really a dilemma here. You know, when you're actually reading and listening to what people have to say. But with RFK Jr. endorsing Trump, I was like saying last time, this was 100% Harris was going to win this. You know, but if RFK Jr. endorses Trump, that's going to give him between 1% and 3% boost in the swing states. And right now it's like a 50-46 race. So 50% of the people are with Harris. I do believe that. It's not very hard. You know, and 50% of the population is living in not poverty, but not, you know, struggling. I should say struggling. And then 46% are in the red states. That matches up with sports betting and with the polling. But, you know, with RFK Jr. now endorsing Trump, I think that's going to happen today. That puts it straight as a 50-50 race. So it's Trump staying on point versus the Democratic machine, and how long they can keep voters enthused. And I think the debates are going to decide a lot of this outcome. You know, we have to see Kamala be able to take questions unscripted. You know, that's you know, I don't know why they put her there. Why we couldn't get Gavin Newsom or Gretchen Whitmer or somebody who's a little bit better suited for this role. And you know, this is the Democrats' election to win. Although the argument is they've been in power the last 12 out of 16 years. And how did we get the economy to this point and housing to this point? You know, why hasn't any laws been passed to rezone so we could have higher density housing like we have here in Ukraine? You know, knock down a few of those McMansions and put up a few buildings like this in some of those neighborhoods. You know, so, you know, then we could sell these would be like $60,000, $70,000 apartments for, you know, and this would be take a lot of pressure off the middle class. You know, then, you know, people can have something to look forward to after 1 year of working their first job. You know, that's well within their reach, 60 to 70,000 bucks. You know, especially in America, the way they can industrialize everything, they could probably do it cheaper than they do here in Ukraine. But so yeah, that's one of the arguments against the Democrats. And you know, Trump is, you know, very clear on his arguments, I think. I've been watching both sides, watching the speeches, but you know, he gets sidetracked, and I don't know, he's fighting a machine. He's fighting the mainstream media. He's fighting the Democrats' ground game. As I said, they really have this strong organization to go knocking on doors and, you know, get people energized. But I don't know how charismatic Kamala is, you know, or Kamala, I don't know how to say her name. I don't know how energized she can get voters. I mean, she's not Bill Clinton or Barack Obama. I mean, she's not even Joe Biden. I mean, you know, Joe Biden had a presence about him. You know, I mean, even though he was, you know, past his best days, you know, he had a, you know, like I said, you can trust him. You know, he's from the Reagan era, and you can trust him. But Harris, like, I think as soon as Biden leaves the White House, we're going to see something completely different. You know, it's like for example, this Ukraine war, right? This is like a white people problem. You know, there's been wars like this going on in Africa, black people killing black people for a long time, and nobody cared. You know, in India, Pakistan, there were wars going on, brown people killing brown people, no one cared. It doesn't even get to the news. And, you know, in Southeast Asia, in the Philippines, same thing, you know. And it's like, I think they're going to she'll take revenge and sideline Tim Walz the way she was sidelined by Biden. The Biden admin, they had sidelined her for 4 years, told her to keep quiet, and then suddenly they take her out of storage and put her on the stage. And I think she's going to do the same to Walz as soon as Biden leaves the White House. You know, as soon as he's out of the White House. And like I said, I'm still favoring her to win, despite all the things you're seeing in the news and the polls. The Democrats are just much more organized, better organized, and they don't even really need any, they don't even need a candidate. That's how good they are. You know, it doesn't even matter who the candidate is. They can just get people to show up. But like I said, there are risks. It's a very close race now. Now it's right down to the 50-50 type of thing. And even some polls have Trump like 51, 52, 48, something like that in some of the betting parlors. So even sports betting corroborates this. They have him as slightly favored, but that can fluctuate every week. I mean, if he has one of his off weeks and stuff, you know, you don't know what can happen, you know. 80 days or 75 days, it's a long time from now. So, yeah, it's, yeah, what can happen with Ukraine with Harris? She's not a panacea for Ukraine's problems. We're really going into uncharted territory. You know, and my feeling is like the far left, they wanted to settle this war. You know, Ilhan Omar and all the people, you know, this is Harris's camp. You know, and Tim Walz, he's very pro-Ukraine. He's been a friend of Ukraine and all this stuff, and, you know, but I think they will just sideline him, and, you know, and they're going to focus, like I've been saying in the last videos, on Israel, Palestine, Africa. You know, they're gonna focus on those things. You know, they're gonna focus on the, you know, non-white countries that are in crisis. That's just the way I see it. You know, I mean, and this is just my opinion. It's not racism or anything, but she's a very she's a very different person, very different politician than what we're used to. And really all she has to do is like secure votes in Pennsylvania, hold Virginia, and she's already, Wisconsin has kind of worked in her favor. You get Milwaukee, you know, like I said, the Democrat machine, they just have to get people to show up. For her, high voter turnout is what she needs, and she can You know, the Democrats have like $400 million. They had $300 million carried over from Biden. She got $4.5 million from Simone Biles. Melinda Gates donated $52 million to her campaign. These are unreal numbers. Hillary Clinton was battling with $100 million, you know, in those campaigns. I mean, we're almost to a $500 million war chest. I mean, that's enough to set up offices, organizations in every state and hire staff and have just armies of college students. And, you know, when you employ them and give them good money, you're essentially buying their votes, going and knocking on doors. You know, it's, you know, so there is like there is a bit of a vote buying going on. You know, and that's all legal. Everyone says it's rigged. The Republicans can't complain. They never made this kind of organization. They've always just like come together for elections and then disband. They never set up the machine, you know, and a campaign organization. And they never really offered much to, you know, inner city people. It's like the Republicans dominate in the countryside, but they don't really have a policy for people living in cities. You know, like I said, they could really win on healthcare if they would just come up with a good healthcare plan. They should. We need first payer healthcare. We're a civilized nation. You know, that is just something we need. You know, and if they don't have it, it's going to be very hard for them to win. It's going to be. If they win, they're going to squeak by. But we'll see. I mean, like I said, it's a 50-50 deal, and if Harris's voters don't show up, they're going to win. So maybe it's not that important for people. Who knows? But if I were a Republican voter or moderate voter, I mean, I am a moderate voter, I would be asking for some kind of sensible first payer health care. That, you know, in order to get it, maybe you have to meet some physical standards, you know, if you can, you know, that you are within your, you know, or the food that makes you sick is taxed, something like that. But anyway, that's all I got, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.